a teenage film snob, baby. I was a teenage film snob, baby.
Welcome to I Was a Teenage Film Snob. I'm James Chalmers, your friendly neighborhood film snob, and I'm back by myself in Film Snob HQ, ready to talk to you about a whole bunch of stuff that's not part of the regular show. As I mentioned in previous episodes, I'll drop one of these when I've got some updates and, of course, when I don't have a show together. So I think by the time this one drops, you should have heard my interview with Jacob Honeybrook. If you haven't ordered his book, Books for the Broken, go and do that now. It's on Amazon. I ordered mine the other day, and by the time this comes out, I will have it and hopefully have read it. But he's a great dude, and always want to support independent artists, so go ahead and do that for me and for him. We would have done our best of 2025 episode. So Nick, Maddie, and I got together for 2 hours and talked about our favorite movies from the year 2025. Always a fun conversation. And not too many double ups in that one. With the exception of two films that Maddie and Nick shared, we all had different flicks on our list, which was really fun as well. My interview with Lauren Alina should also be up. The cosplayer turned voice actress turned actress. She is going to be in the upcoming Aaron Bennett film Joker's Wild 2, Lazarus Rises, I think it's called. I think I pronounced it wrong on the episode. And she was a bunch of fun to talk to. She was one of the best guests I've ever had. Just so chill and open, and didn't really treat it like an interview, just treated it like a conversation, which was really, really cool. And then depending on the scheduling and everything else, my interview with J.R. Stokes may have come up already. If it has, you would have heard it. If you haven't heard it yet, it is coming. His new film, Beautiful Pam, is out for free on YouTube right now. It's a masterpiece. It's so, so good. So please take the time to go and check that one out. It's a challenging flick for sure. But, with all challenging things in life, there's quite a reward, and it is just a beautiful film, even if it is uncomfortable and unpleasant at times as well. Definitely worth your time. So today, instead, we're going to go back to me talking about weight loss and video games. So we'll do that. And then I'll also talk about a movie I watched because it's been getting a lot of hate online, and I want to talk about it, even though, it doesn't really matter what I think. I just want to address some concerns I have around people's response to it, because it feels a little bit crazy. But let's get the weight loss stuff out of the way. As of right now, Easter has come and gone, and even though I've been on a really strong, steady goal and path for the last 3 months, I did want to give myself a bit of a break on Easter, and boy, did I. I went to Easter lunch with my family and my kids, and we, to say I loaded up on chocolate is an understatement. I had so much stuff that I have been not depriving myself of, but definitely restricting over the last few months, and it was glorious. It was something very nice about eating without consequence, in as much as I wasn't going to punish myself. I knew coming home that night and weighing myself the next morning, my scale was probably going to go up, but I was totally fine with that. I just really wanted to enjoy myself, and I did. And then the next morning, my scale did go down. I've had a couple of fluctuation days, so I don't have the most accurate reading right now, but as of last weighing, I was down 9.5 kilos, which puts me at over a third of the way to my total goal. I want to lose 28 kilos in total, so 9.5 is definitely over the 1/3 mark. And it was quite a good weight loss week, actually. I think I'm at a point now where my metabolism is working better than it had been. And I'm also at a point where I can eat more calories and still lose weight because of my activity. So we're getting there. It's just going to take some time. But anyway, so I'm down 9.5 kilos. I really didn't do anything all that different. I tried to get 10,000 steps in per day, which I did most days, eating pretty cleanly, as I mentioned, and then, of course, blowing it all on Saturday, but still getting the weight down, so very happy with that. There's not really much else to talk about with the weight loss journey at this point. I'm not quite at the size where I can fit into my medium shirts yet. I think I'm a couple of kilos off that still, but I'm definitely sleeping better, getting to sleep easier, not waking up as much, not sweating as much, like I'm moving through life more comfortably again, which I talked about on the last episode as well, I think. just generally feeling better and not getting as hungry. Like my body is now used to eating in a calorie deficit. So like that first month or so, like 3 a.m., my stomach would lurch. It was just like, like getting real hungry. But now my body's used to it. And in fact, at Easter, and this might be but this might be why I lost the weight as well, is I stopped eating around lunchtime. Like I say lunchtime, like 3 o'clock. I didn't have anything to eat after that, not because I was punishing myself or restricting myself. I just could not eat anything else. We had chicken and potatoes and all these veggies and then Easter eggs and cake and like just way more than I would have usually. And so I didn't need to eat anymore. Like my body was like, no, we're done. And I don't think I would have eaten much more than my kind of allowed intake, maybe a little bit, but it didn't matter. And I wasn't hungry until the next day. So, that really all worked out for me, I suppose. Yeah, so that's kind of it with that, I suppose. In terms of the video game stuff, I have completed 2 games since the last recording. One of them I started after the last recording and finished. The other one I started back in November. I think it was a birthday present, if I remember. And it's taken me months to complete, not because the game is hard, but because I have kids and a full-time job. So the first game I'll talk about is an old game from around 2010, 2011, the PlayStation 3 version of Captain America Super Soldier, which was a tie-in game for the movie at the time. Captain America is voiced by Chris Evans in the film. And it is fine. It's fine. Like most tie-in games from that era, there's kind of a loose adaptation. Like there's some connective material, but it kind of does its own thing. The game itself is very very basic. It's very much like get from one end to the other, the way you would expect like a 90s platformer. Like it's not open world. It's just you got to start here, shoot a bunch of bad guys, get to the end, rinse and repeat. And basically it follows Steve Rogers as he lands in Germany, trying to investigate the acts of Johann Schmidt, the Red Skull, and his buddy Arnim Zola, and a bunch of American soldiers get captured, so you got to try and free them and uncover the Red Skull's plan and stuff like that. And it's fine. Like, it's fun throwing the shield. I really enjoyed that. It's got an upgrade system, which I used kind of sparingly, but I didn't really use the combos all that much. Throwing the shield tends to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, especially if you throw it against a computer, because it tends to explode and blow up a bunch of enemies. I found it a little bit boring. Maybe not boring might not be the right word, but repetitive, just simply because it was the same thing over and over again. The other thing that was kind of a bummer about the game is that even though it's a superhero game, it's a comic book game, you're only ever really fighting human soldiers. Like the Red Skull is in the game, but you never fight him. The closest you get is you fight a robot at one point, the Iron Cross, I think it's called. And he kind of launches bombs at you from the background, but you never engage with the Red Skull. You do fight Arnim Zola in his robot body a few times. That's kind of cool. That's probably the most fun part of the game. But most of the time, it's very much just get from one end to the other, fight the bad guys. There are these challenges where you have to set up explosives and then escape to a time limit, but the time limit's very forgiving, so it's almost never a challenge. Unless you get stuck behind a box or something, you should have a pretty easy time getting through it. So the game's fine. I don't really have much more to say on it, which is why I haven't recorded an episode yet, because this would have been a less than 10-minute long episode. But compared to something like Ratchet and Clank, which actually came out earlier, it just feels like it's missing something. It feels like I don't know what it needed. It doesn't feel lazy. It doesn't feel like a lazy game. It just feels like kind of in the same vein as most tie-in games from that era, which is just enough to make it a tie-in game, I suppose. I feel like a lot of games in that era that tied into movies and stuff like that felt a little bit underwhelming. But it's fine. The voice acting's cool. Like the visual style of it for its time is pretty good. Like it looks pretty good for a 2010 game. But you have to remember this came out around the same time as Arkham Knight and Arkham City. Not Arkham Knight, sorry, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. I think Arkham City was also 2010, if I remember. And that game is so much better, so much more exciting, visually stunning. Like, Batman has all these colorful rogues. Like, the Captain America game is a very short game as well. But it's fine. Like, I wouldn't discourage people from playing it. I would just let people know, hey, it's going to be just kind of a very basic tie-in game. But, there's fun to be had. I've also started a new game. I've actually started 3 games. I've started 3 games, all on different consoles. So depending on where I am in my house, I can get a bit done. So that way I've constantly got something to come back to and play. So I've started Lollipop Chainsaw on the PS3, which I'm 1 chapter in. There are 6 chapters to it. So I'll give you an update on Lollipop Chainsaw when I finish that. I've started Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Switch, and I'm about 5 worlds into that one. And then I've also started replaying. My only replay of a game at this stage, because I'm trying to only complete games I've never completed before, is Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Conquest on the Super Nintendo. That's in my bedroom, so that's just arguably my favorite my favorite video game of all time. And it's been a minute since I played it, so I was like, you know what? I'll crank that up and then I can talk about that as well. But thus far, that's the video games completed. That's the video games I've started. The other video game I started back in November, December, was Pokemon Legends ZA on the Nintendo Switch. It was a birthday present. It is the newest Pokemon game out. Well, actually, no, there's a new one out now, Poketopia, I think it's called. But I don't get the new Pokemon games as regularly. You can call me a hater, you can call me a hypocrite, you can call me lame, whatever you want. I'm really stuck in that generation that was mine when I was a kid. I feel like most Pokemon fans, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like most Pokemon fans kind of, whatever generation they started playing in is what they kind of prefer. And I was a blue, red, and yellow version kid and a gold and silver kid. So Gen 1 and 2 are my jam. I recently played Omega Ruby last year, or maybe it was the year before now. And I quite enjoyed that. But the further the games get on, like, there's like over 1,000 Pokemon now. Like, when I was a kid, there's 151. And the only way you could catch one of them was through a glitch, which none of us knew when we were kids. So it's just, I just fell behind. That's what it really is. It's not that I'm an old man or a hypocrite or I'm a hater. I just fell behind. But the Legends games I quite like because they mix it up a little bit. They're not get through the 8 gym leaders, go to the Elite Four. They mix it up a little bit. So Pokemon ZA, and I'll spoil this game a little bit because it's been out for a while now. And most people who wanted to play it have probably completed it a lot quicker than I have. So Pokemon ZA takes you back to Lumio City, which is one of the cities in Pokemon Black and White, if I remember correctly. It's the one that's based on Paris. It's got the big tower in the middle. And the whole game is set in that city, which I wasn't expecting. I knew nothing about it going in. I just was like, I'm going to play a new Pokemon game. I want to try it out. And basically, the city, there was like an attack a few years ago by Team Flare, if I remember correctly. My knowledge of the games stuff is a little bit hazy, so bear with me. But now they're trying to create this kind of harmonious city between humans and Pokemon, and wild Pokemon have started entering the city. So in order to kind of contain them and keep it safe for people, they set up these wild zones. So basically you can encounter Pokemon throughout the city, but only in the wild zone. So that way you're not constantly being hounded by battles. But also, if you're looking for specific Pokemon, it's going to be in a specific zone as well. And that was quite fun. I really enjoyed that. You're greeted by a young woman at the start of the game. She's part of a battle team. And you're like, what's a battle team? And it turns out that Lumio City is host to the ZA tournament, hence the name of the game, where every night the city turns into a battleground and you can do these street battles with people. And you want to increase your ranking as high as possible. And the higher the rank you get, you'll get a prize, that sort of thing. But then what it turns out is that the ZA League is actually created by this organization to try and stop some sinister activity going on. It turns out that a lot of Pokemon have been forced to Mega Evolve. I sound so nerdy right now. And you don't really know what's causing it, but like Mega Evolution is meant to be like a union between a Mega Stone and a Pokemon, and the Pokemon's use it, but these wild Pokemon are just like randomly Mega Evolving, and it's very painful and stuff like that. So you have to go around and like prevent the Mega Evolution. And the idea is that if you get to the top of the ZA League, then you're strong enough to hopefully stop whatever signal is causing it. Game doesn't really have any villains per se. Like, there are a couple of different teams that show up that you think are going to be villains, but actually they want the same thing as you, just their methods are maybe a little bit different. And you have to remember, like I said at the start of this, I was a Gen 1, Gen 2 guy, so I'm like, where's Team Rocket? But Team Rocket hasn't been in a game for decades, I don't think. I think Team Rocket are done, which is a shame because I really like Team Rocket. I think they're a cool villain. So you go around, and then you also meet this police captain, and you do tasks for her, and there's this researcher, and you do tasks for her, and every time you complete a research task, you level up, and you get more and more prizes. So there are 50 levels. I think I did 36 levels, and I stopped. I finished the game at that. But if you go all the way to the top, you can get a Master Ball. So that's kind of the premise of it, and then you have to try and, stop the mega evolutions, get to the center of the city, and stop, whatever signal is causing the mega evolutions. It's not a particularly long game. It took me long, as I mentioned, because I have a full-time job with 2 kids, but you can crank out quite a bit in an hour or two if you have a little bit of downtime. I really like the battle kind of mechanics of this game. So in this one, it's not turn-based the way it is in the Game Boy games. And again, I'm saying Game Boys if it's new. Like, people are playing these on 3DSs and stuff like that, and the Switch. But instead, you can walk around during the battle, and you can just, like, kind of spam attacks. And sometimes you can get a couple of attacks in a row, which is kind of nice. So that's fine. I like the battle mechanics there, and the animations I quite like. One thing I would say that the modern version of Pokemon games has improved on is the battle animations. Like, you have to remember, when I was playing in the 90s, it was turn-based, and they only had about 3 pixels. So you would see, like, these 3 pixels moving, like, oh yeah, that does look like a surf attack. Okay. Whereas now they're, fully integrated animations, and they look really, really cool. It's kind of takes what Pokemon Stadium was trying to be and has put it into kind of the modern version of a Pokemon game. So that was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It's not my favorite game, but I enjoyed it for what it was. I didn't really feel compelled to go and 100% the game, so I actually completed the game yesterday at the time of this recording, or maybe it was the day before, actually. No, it was the day before. I completed it at night, and that was it, like, I was kind of like, I finished the story, and you get a wish, but you don't really get a wish because there are 3 options to wish for, but actually there's only 1 option to wish for. And then, there's more, it's like a post game where you can go around and do, like, battles again and stuff. But the problem I've always had with every Pokemon game is I feel like the post game has genuinely been quite weak. Because it's like, okay, well, now that it's done, I can go and catch these Pokemon. But if I'm not going to use them for anything, why would I bother? Like, I'm not really a completionist like that. I'm not really like, oh, I need to collect every Pokemon. Like, once the game's over, if there's no more post-game, I'm done. For my money, I think Gold and Silver still have the best post-game, which is once you finish the Elite Four, you then get the keys or, like, permission to go into the Kanto region and battle all their gym leaders. What I would love someone to do, and I know they've done it online, like, as a ROM hack, but I would love Pokemon to be like, hey, here's our new game. Do it on the Switch. Do it open world. Start in any region you like. And then every time you complete a region, you get dropped into another region. So start in Kanto, then go to Johto, then go to Hoenn, then go to Kalos or whatever it is. I don't know them all off by heart. Sinnoh. I think that would be a real... I think that's what the fans want. That's the thing what the Pokemon fans really want is, like, give me every generation in one game. Give me like 100 Pokemon boxes so I can store them all. And, if I have to start fresh at the beginning of each, like, even if it's like we remastered every game and stitched them into one game, that would be fine. But I think that would be, that's what I would like. There is a version of that. I think it's called Pokemon Ash or Fire Ash or something like that. But it's not a ROM. It's a Windows game, and I don't have a Windows computer, so I can't play it. But I would really like to. So maybe one day. But yeah, so Pokemon ZA I quite enjoyed. I don't know when I'll go back to playing it again. I've got Pokemon Legends Arceus as well, and I've only played that the one time. And I enjoyed it, but yeah, I prefer, even though I said I liked how they mixed it up and they did it differently, I just prefer, like, Gold and Silver is just my jam. It's just my jam. But I liked it. I liked it for what it was. So the final thing I'll talk about today is we talked about weight loss, we talked about video games. As I said, the next three games I'm working on are Lollipop Chainsaw, Donkey Kong Country Returns, and Donkey Kong Country 2 on 3 different consoles. So between those 3, the next time I sit down to record, I should have finished one of them. And hopefully I'll have some more exciting weight loss stuff for you by then as well. But the last thing I'll talk to you about is the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which I went and saw opening weekend. I saw it on Friday with my daughter and my oldest friend Josh, who's been on the show a number of times. Hotly anticipated flick for me. Like, obviously, Avengers Doomsday is the one I'm probably looking forward to the most. If you've been paying attention to the YouTube channel or the Instagram channel, you'll see I've been watching all the Marvel films, and boy, is that starting to get to be a chore. Phase 4 is rough, man. The movies are good, but gee, it takes so long. I'll talk about that in my wrap-up video when I get to that. But Mario was definitely my most anticipated kids film. I was looking forward to taking my daughter to it, and I loved that first one. That first one was my favorite film of 2023. Looking back, I wonder if it still holds that place, but definitely at the time it did, for a number of reasons. So we went and saw Mario Galaxy, and it opened to a really poor critic score, 42% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I will say I do not care for Rotten Tomatoes. I've been very open about this. I talked on the Movie Bonus podcast about this. I think Rotten Tomatoes is a farce. I think it's so stupid. Like, first of all, I think scoring films is dumb. I score them on Letterboxd just so I can prioritize which one I want to watch more. But my scoring system is different. If I give a film a 1 star, it's not a don't watch. It's rewatch this when you can. Like, it always starts off positive and gets more positive. But yeah, I think scoring films is dumb. I think it's impossible to really to grade something that's art. You know, how do you grade art? I think that's really dumb. I also, as you know, I'm not a huge fan of online criticism these days, because it's not film critique the way it used to be, which is a discussion. It's this film is bad, and that's all they want to say about it. They won't talk about it in a balanced discussion. So I'm not going to spoil it because it's brand new, and even though this episode is going to come out probably a couple of weeks later, I don't know, I'll try not to spoil it too much. So Super Mario Galaxy, the biggest critique was it doesn't have a plot. I can tell you right now, Super Mario Galaxy absolutely has a plot. Here's the plot. Bowser Jr. is annoyed that Mario and Luigi stopped his dad's wedding and made him a prisoner. So his goal for this film is to create a weapon and steal a princess powerful enough to harness that weapon so he can rescue his dad and take revenge on the plumbers. That's the plot. On the other side of things, Princess Peach finds out about Bowser Jr.'s plan, tries to go rescue the princess, and leaves Mario and Luigi in charge of the Mushroom Kingdom. However, when Bowser gets released, they have to change their plan and also try and stop Bowser Jr. Like, it's not that hard. That's the plot. Like, maybe I fumbled my way through it because I was trying to figure it out on the spot, but it's not difficult. Like, is it a strong plot? No, it's not The Departed or Goodfellas, but it doesn't need to be because it's Mario. And I'm not even going to go, like, it's a kid's film, like, why do you care? Like, that's insulting to children. Kids' films can obviously be quite cerebral. Look at some of the stronger Pixar stuff. Look at things like Inside Out. Obviously, kids' films can be really advanced and cerebral. But also, aren't us adults entitled to a dumb film? Like, isn't it okay? Like, when I first came back from the film and I was posting all these things about it, like, during these crazy, uncertain, horrible times, I just want to check out. And Mario is that warm blanket of nostalgia that I was craving. Like, it's not a perfect film, but boy, is it fun. And that's all I care about. I think people are just losing their minds. Visually, it's stunning. Like, people calling it slop, which is often a term used in regards to AI, saying that, like, visually, like, it's slop. I disagree entirely. If you watch the footage of Rosalina, like, using her star powers, or you look at the texture of Yoshi's skin, this is not slop. Like, visually, this flick is great. People worked hard on this. It looks stunning. It has more references than the first movie, which I really dug. It plays with Mario Galaxy and Mario Sunshine and Mario Odyssey, as well as honouring the originals. Well, there's tons of stuff for Mario 2. The black sheep of the family, Super Mario 2, which if you don't know, is just it's not even a remake. Nintendo re-released another game and just put Mario sprites in it. So everything was the same except for the main character. They changed it to Mario, Luigi, Toad, and Princess Toadstool, who she was at the time before she was Princess Peach. So you get Birdo and Wart, and you get the rat whose name I've forgotten. It's really fun. I really, really dug it. My favorite reference in the entire film, and this is a bit of a spoiler, but not really, is at a certain point, they're at this kind of intergalactic spaceport, and they're needing to find someone to fly them. They need someone who can fly a ship, and they get Fox McCloud, who's in the trailer and is in the posters. Like, we know Fox is in it. But as they're running through the flight deck to find a pilot, they run past a ship that flies away quite quickly, and it's Samus Aran's ship. Now, Samus is the protagonist from Metroid, my favorite Super Smash Bros. Character, and one of my favorite characters and games in the Nintendo universe. That made me so excited. I love Samus, and I was hoping that she would get a shout-out in this movie, because if she gets a shout-out, she's probably going to come up at some point. They tend to be expanding their universe. Anyway, that's all I want to talk about. Like, I think the critic scores are just way too negative. Like, there are worse movies out there than Mario Galaxy, and this whole accusation that has no plot is ridiculous to me. Like, it might be a simple plot, but there's a plot. Like, just get over yourselves, honestly. This flick's going to make a bunch of money. It's already made its budget back. I think it made $337 million in the first 4 days or something like that. So this flick's going to do gangbusters. I hope they start developing more spin-off projects. I'd like to see like a Luigi's Mansion film. I would like to see, we've got the Zelda movie coming out next year. I think it's a movie. I'd like to see Metroid. I'd like to see more of Star Fox. There's so much they can do with this, and I'm here for it, man. Like, even if the critics aren't, I'm here for it in a big bad way. But anyway, that's it. That's our short little episode. Hopefully you had a little bit of fun. Listen to me talk about a bunch of nonsense and getting distracted when I had to type something on my computer to respond to an email. But that's going to do it. Next week, we'll have something far more interesting than me talking alone to myself. But go check out Captain America Super Soldier on PS3 if you can. Go check out Pokemon ZA. Absolutely, check that one out. That's a great game. And go watch Super Mario Galaxy. It's so much fun. Ignore the critics. But that's going to do it here for now. And I'll be back next week. But as I say every time on this show, guys, I was a teenage film snob, but I'm trying to be better. I'll see you next week.